Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everybody. This is Bob Hollis with the Mobius Network with just a few quick instructions for making your experience a little better. We're using GoToWebinar today. If your viewer happens to disappear, you need to change the size. Just look right up here in the top left. You'll see the viewer option there. If you'd like to capture a screenshot at any time, you can also do that if you're on a PC. I don't think this feature is available on Mac yet, but we are recording as well, so that should be available to anybody who either couldn't make it today or would like to come back and revisit later. If your GoToWebinar panel seems to have disappeared, just look for the little orange flyout tab here, and that will allow you to bring that back out to open or close the panel. Everybody is muted by default. We have a lot of people registered today, so Heidi will be doing most of the speaking, but we welcome and encourage questions. So if you take a look at the section where it says questions, you can submit your questions throughout the webinar as you think of them. That way you might not remember by the end, so submit them as you think of them, but we're going to leave time at the end to go through everything. So we'll get back to you on those at the end of the webinar. We'll leave some time. And if your whole window seems to have disappeared, typically it's just because it's behind another window. You can go down into your taskbar and click the GoToWebinar icon, and that will bring it back to the front. And with that, I will be turning things over to Doug.
Thank you, Bob. This is Doug Cobold, and I'm your current chair of the California Product Stewardship Council. Honored to be in that position. I wanted to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for this annual meeting and kind of an update. Wanted to also let you know if you did not receive a link or a PDF version of the 2015-2016 annual report, it is available on the CPSC website. Click on the directly on the About Us, and in the text about 2 paragraphs down, you'll see take a look at our recent annual report, and there's a link there. You can click on it and download the annual report. With that, again, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to Heidi.
Great, thanks, Doug, and welcome everybody. This is our annual meeting, as it is required under our bylaws, that we share with our supporters every year what we do, what we've accomplished, and we like to get your input to make sure we're on track to keeping you all happy and that we're achieving the goals that we've set out as an organization and for you as funders. And I just want to reflect back on this picture. I love this. This is our Northwest Product Stewardship Council, which was the first in the country, sending us the thumbs up that they supported us starting a California Product Stewardship Council. This picture was taken in 2006, and in 2007 is when we formed the council and seated the first board, September 21st. So we just had our 9th birthday, and it's hard to believe it's been 9 years already that we've had the Product Stewardship Council in California, and we've had an awful lot of success, even without hitting a decade yet. It's changing the whole paradigm of the discussion about waste and trying to get to real source reduction and how things are made, what they're made out of, and ensuring that they're made with end of life in mind. And that is really because of all of you, the people who fund us and support this work. So we want to say happy birthday to you and to all of us for all this 9 great years of work. And just as a quick reflection back, this is our mission statement. It's to shift our waste management system from one that's focused on government-funded and ratepayer-financed waste diversion to one that relies on producer responsibility in order to reduce our public costs and drive improvements in product design that promote environmental sustainability. So the key here is not just recycling. It's true source reduction and designing things so that we're reducing the impact environmentally and also financially on our local government. And we're very proud to have expanded the board over the years. We are now allowed up to 5 private sector members. We currently just sat new board members and have a full 14-member board. We're a very great board. I couldn't ask for a better board. I'm very proud to work with them. We have 3 members now that are the private sector members, and our executive committee is Doug Cobold, who just spoke, our chair. We have Lynn France from the city of Chula Vista in San Diego County as our secretary. Gretchen Olson from Stockton, our Vice Chair, and Christina Miller from the City of Corning, who is our Treasurer and is now a City Manager with Corning. We also have Julie Bryant with the City and County of San Francisco, Colleen Foster with the City of Oceanside, Josh Simpson of Camps Propane, who's been incredibly helpful on our Refuel Your Fund campaign, and Baman Haji Ali Akbar with County of Los Angeles, and also Craig Hempel with City of Burbank, Deborah Kaufman from Alameda Stop Waste, Wes Nelson with Green Waste Carpet Recycling, another hot topic we're working on with carpet, Eric Pot Ashner with Recology, and then Antonia Graham and Steve Roderick are our two newest board members. They were just appointed last month, and Antonia, we're very happy to say, is from Orange County, City of Huntington Beach. So this is our first board member from Orange County, and Steve Roderick with Butte County, and he's been around a long time and very active with the Regional Council of Rural Counties. So again, we've got a full board, and we're very, very pleased with broad representation across the state and in the private sector. Our partners are a broad group of people. In fact, for our associates, I noted we've now got 95 local governments that fund us, and we have 37 businesses and associations. So some of the bigger funders include the Edgar Associates for their great hosting of us here at the Edgar Institute, Recology, a large donor at $10,000 a year, and then we have some gold partners at $5,000 a year, which includes the California Refuse Recycling Council, CRA and donations, Green Cities and donations, and then Green Waste of Tehama. And then we also have other partners, Camps Propane, Cal Recycle, Carton Council, Product Care, which runs producer responsibility programs up in Canada for hazardous waste, and LA Fiber, a big LA-based carpet recycler, Peninsula Packaging, based in Turlock, Potential Industries out of Los Angeles, Zanker Recycling, and Ecology Action, a nonprofit. And we've put your resources to very efficient use. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever seen charts that are this good. Our programmatic efficiency is extremely high, very little spent on fundraising, 85% on the program work. That is really, those are great numbers, but actually we need to do some more fundraising, and that's something I'll talk about towards the end, about things you can do and projects we can do with all of you that would help us bring in money, but also help give you some projects and get those accomplished in your jurisdiction, such as implementing Refuel Your Fund and getting the refillables out in your counties. And you can see that we get most of our donations from government, 46%. We have about 43% in contract service income, meaning we do contract like any consultant, except that we have to follow our nonprofit mission in that we're doing it for producer responsibility. There's some impact on that shift to producers being responsible and others in the product chain. And then we do very little foundations, only 2%. They're very hard, especially after the Bernie Madoff thing. It was very hard to get foundation money. And then corporate donations are really only at 7%. So we can increase that quite a bit more too. But the status of what we are doing is that we are really focused on being transparent and accountable, because we believe that we should walk the talk. That's what we're asking companies to do when they take responsibility for the programs. We have every other month board meetings. We switched that from once a month because now we have a separate organization, the National Stewardship Action Council, which we'll talk about in a minute. We have monthly associates calls for all our local government members so they can talk about issues important to them. We have a monthly policy and education advisory committee call. That's when we join our partners and our government folks to talk together about policy and education issues. If any of you are not aware of these calls and would like to be on these calls, please email us. You can email Chris at calpsc.org, and he will make sure you get on the right listserv for those meetings. We also provide a lot of news updates and alerts. We do listservs specific to pharmaceuticals, sharps, batteries, and gas cylinders. Again, if you want to be on any of those and you are not now, please email Chris. We also right now have 3 full-time staff. We did have 4. We're not sure right now if we're going to have 4. We're going to get, we're not sure exactly where we're going with that. So there's some opportunity to maybe have association managers help, or we're not having to hire as much staff or do more contract work. But generally, we've always stayed 3 to 4 in the last couple of years. And that's an improvement. Years before, I was a contractor, and we had to bring me on even as an employee. So we've grown a lot, and we've got a great website. Chris and Jordan do a great job of keeping it up. We've got, we're going to probably trim it down and clean it up towards the end of the year like we do every year when it slows down before the busy season. And then the annual report, we're very proud of that. We just finished it last month and got it approved by the board, as Doug mentioned. The link is there, and I encourage you to take a look through it if you haven't, because I think it does a good job of summarizing the amazing progress we made again this last year with a very small staff, a fairly large board, and all of you. That's the only way we can accomplish as much as we do, because we all work together. So one of the things that we do, and we first started out to do, was adopt resolutions educating local governments about producer responsibility. That was the first thing we did actually in 2007. We now have 139 resolutions that represent 68% of California's population. So we think that's pretty impressive. And at this point, I don't even think we need any more resolutions, because in the end, everybody knows what it is now. When we started the organization, nobody even knew what we were talking about. So we've made a lot of progress on the education. And our website is very informative. We are always putting up new slides, and of course I say that while it's got the hearing from 11/4, but that's an old picture, this slide is. The page is kept very current, and we do a good job, I think, of copying videos of hearings on producer responsibility and making sure those are available to you on our YouTube page. We send them out in listservs, etc., the links, but there's lots of facts and information on those pages, whether it's about a product type like carpet or gas cylinders, or some of the other web pages. We even have a separate web page for Refuel Your Fun and Don't Rush to Flush. We also do a lot with social media. If you're not following us on social media, I would encourage you to do so. We even help counties like Alameda with their social media. In fact, Chris does a lot of posting on Alameda Safe Meds to help educate the locals of Alameda about what's happening with producer responsibility and medicine take back all over the state. So please follow us on social media. It's a free, fast way to get information out, and actually I think all of you could say it's probably even affected our national elections. Public education inserts are another tool that we're using. We did the first one in Sacramento County, thanks to Doug and others, a few years ago, and now we're doing broader topics than just medicines and sharps. Even Sacramento County did one called The Usual Suspects, and they were talking about, or is that the San Benito insert? This one at the top center is San Benito's insert that Chris worked on with San Benito County on a grant, where we educate all about household hazardous waste but highlight the stewardship programs. So there's lots of ways that we can work together on projects where you can help fund us but actually get a tangible deliverable for those monies. We do things like surveys. We were asked a lot on some of the grants to do surveys of what are people doing with their medicines or their sharps. That sometimes fed into an ordinance, or it fed into other policy decisions. So if you have any questions about how we do them, we are happy to answer those questions. You can email Jordan or Chris. But we have done this now for, I think, 5 counties, and we're going to summarize some of that data later in the presentation. Other things we do are voluntary stewardship. We love that. That's the most fun as far as I'm concerned. When we're not fighting about legislation, we're actually just out there helping good companies do good things. And this is a picture of Sam Newman. He's the one who approached us a couple years ago and showed us his newly redesigned 1-pound gas cylinder for propane that is refillable. And that kicked off a great partnership. We gave him a Green Arrow Award, but we've got many other awards already from that project and getting more. I'm going to talk about that too. But if you know of a company that's doing great things and they could use some help and advertisement and support, we would love to help them. Please send them our way. And we do things like case studies. Jordan spent a good bit of time when she first started with us working on case studies for medicine and sharps disposal in other countries. This one is in Portugal, but we've done them for France and other countries, and maybe if we get extra staff, we'll be happy to update them to be more current now. But we got a lot of great data that fed into everything from the ordinances to other policy decisions at the state level. We also do a lot of presentations, even around the country. This one I did with attorney Art Sharpstis. He's the one who defended Alameda to the U.S. Supreme Court when they were challenged by the pharmaceutical industry. And we explained to the U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting about what that decision meant for local authority. And he explained the legal side of it, and I explained the political side of it and how it happened. But this was a very important thing that we did. I actually did that presentation as the National Stewardship Action Council. That was our first presentation under that auspice. But I thought I'd show you that, you know, all the work that we've done in California has national impact, certainly. We also fund friends. So as you know, we gave them an award the first year we did the Arrow Awards. And they do shareholder resolutions to drive recycling, take back, and changes in behavior of corporations so that we can get better environmental outcomes. And we funded them last year for the first time for $25,000 because we thought we needed their help educating the shareholders of medicine companies about take back and what they do in other countries and that they should consider it here. They filed 3 shareholder resolutions with Pfizer, actually last year it was Merck, AbbVie, and Johnson & Johnson, and we just got into an agreement with them to do the same this year, except this year they're going to add Pfizer, which has opioids, and they're also going to add Becton Dickinson, which is a needle manufacturer. So this is also important because it's another pressure point on the decision, another educational tool to get a change of heart on some of these issues. We also do the Arrow Awards. So these are, I think it's our 7th we did this year, 6th or 7th. And we have a gold, green, bow and arrow, and infinity. The gold is overall best stewardship program, which we gave to U-Haul. Green is for product redesign, which is Flame King this year. The bow and arrow is for partnerships, and this year we gave it to Paint Care. And infinity, which is the best in taking back, we gave to Orchard Supply Hardware. But we love this program. It really gives credit where credit is due and thanks those who are working with us. And of course, we always thank our partners and Associates of the Year. And this year, we gave the Associate of the Year to Bill Pollock of Alameda County. He's been an incredibly strong voice for producer responsibility and done amazing work that was groundbreaking for the whole country in Alameda County. And there's board member Deborah Kaufman giving Bill that award. And then we have Doug Cobalt on the left and Josh Simpson on the right at the bottom there. Josh got our Partner of the Year award for the incredible commitment he's made to expanding the refillable gas cylinder campaign really across the country. And it even goes to helping his competitors understand the program and roll it out and sell those refillables and refill them. Oh. And then, of course, we do things like, you know, mixers and meet your legislators and give awards to legislators who do great things. So these 2 pictures of this year when we gave them to Senator Hannah-Beth Jackson for being a real champion on pharmaceutical product stewardship. And then, of course, Senator Stone, who worked with Senator Jackson on our only sponsored bill this year, and that was the one that got signed by the governor, SB 1229, for providing liability protection for pharmacies that host medicine bins. And that was a wonderful partnership. Senator Stone is a Republican from Riverside, and Senator Jackson is considered very liberal, and she's from Santa Barbara County. So to see them working together, a pharmacist and a lawyer from very different political arenas, was very exciting to get everybody to agree on a bill. We also do a lot of research. So outside of just the research on case studies, we know that certain things are coming. We had a suspicion that packaging was becoming a big thing, a big discussion point. We wanted to make sure we knew it better, and quite frankly, Chris and Jordan were both telling me they wanted to travel, and I didn't want to lose them. So I said, okay, what can we do to help you get your traveling in and still get educated and help us? And CPR is actually more implemented around the world. And we asked our friends in Canada, would any of the stewardship organizations like to help us get them kind of an exchange program, and we were happy to take some of their folks too to see what we were doing down here. But we actually got a paid internship for both Chris and Jordan to go to Canada and learn a little bit about the multi-material British Columbia residential packaging and printed paper program, which is relatively new and has had a lot of heated debate on its success or not, and we want to understand the facts. So I'm going to turn it over now to Jordan. She's going to go through just 2 slides of what she learned, and then Chris will go through 2, and we can take questions about this at the end as well. But this is, for you, information that we want to bring back that we've seen firsthand. They both each spent separately 3 weeks up in Vancouver. So Jordan, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hello. So as Heidi said, Chris and I both spent 3 weeks this summer studying at MMBC, and on the left you'll see is myself at the Mterra Environmental MRF in Surrey, and on the right is Chris conducting curbside audits on Vancouver Island. This program was mandated by a British Columbia recycling regulation, which set its 75% recovery target, and in 2015, MMBC surpassed that target by 2%, just 1 year after their launch. 2 stewardship plans were originally submitted, and MMBC's plan was selected. This is a 100% EPR program that allows local control, with governments having the choice between their existing services and getting reimbursed or having MMBC take over. And this program was able to build on the existing recycling systems in place. And now it's Chris.
Thanks, Jordan. So as we mentioned, there's 3 main ways that they're collecting the packaging in British Columbia, and that is curbside, multifamily, and depot. Curbside is primarily for single-family use conducted through a mix of single-stream and multi-stream. Multifamily is for buildings with 5+ dwellings, and it's also a mix of single and multi-stream. And then the depots are specific designated collection points that are strategically placed around the province. The collection infrastructure is typically determined by the pre-MMBC collection, since they typically kept what they were doing prior to the program and are now just reimbursed by MMBC. Reducing non-scope contamination is very important because MMBC is not reimbursed for those materials, so there's a huge emphasis on reducing those. They do so by using a standardized auditing procedure to sample the contamination levels, which is then used to inform the payments. Overall, the system performs very well. 93% of the collected materials are recycled, with 7% being landfilled. 0 incineration occurs.
No, I thought you were speaking on this other slide.
What's that? That's what I had to say.
Oh, so okay,
And
sorry.
what's really interesting is they have an annual conference each year where all the participants in the program get together and they share best practices. That was something I found really fascinating.
Great. So that's a very quick overview and just a couple of slides, but we have the annual report here from MMBC and we've gone through it, and we know that this is going to be brought up repeatedly during the packaging discussions that CalRecycle is undertaking, so we wanted to make sure we had some facts before we went into that discussion. The other thing we're going to really focus on this next year is this voluntary program of the refillable gas cylinders, because we feel like, especially after this election, this is something that can bring everybody together. There's really no opposition except maybe, you know, we're hearing one company that's not getting the majority of their cylinders bought that's refillable. There's 2 companies, Flame King and Worthington. We're not sure how happy Worthington is about it, but we know that, or Coleman, but we know that Flame King and many in the industry are very, very happy about this. So it's really a win-win. And we want to build on the win-win, and our goal is to get actually, you know, national penetration and have 0 of these disposables sold by 2020. There's no reason for them to be sold if we have refillables and we have a convenient system across the country to refill them. So that is our priority, because we think all of you everywhere can help us with this, and it really is easy to sell to people. because they understand how to do it for their 5-gallon barbecue tanks. So this is the Flame King and refillable cylinder, and it really does have everything from greenhouse gas savings to that whole, refilling, which instead of landfilling or recycling, it's highest on the hierarchy. It's a California-based company. These things last for 12 years and can be recertified for another 12. There's just lots of great things about this if we can roll it out throughout the whole country. But we want to do California first, and that includes our national parks. So one of the things we did was went to Yosemite and learned that they're disposing of over 23,000 of these tanks a year. So if you've got a park, a state or national park, or even just a small campground in your area, we want to talk to you and do projects with you to really make sure that we're selling and offering the ability to refill the refillables instead of the disposables as much as we can. You can see in the slide to the bottom left, there's a gentleman who's a volunteer literally puncturing these metal cylinders with a mallet and a piece of metal like a hammer, and that is extremely dangerous. That is not how we should be managing these cylinders. But to reduce the need to manage them at end of life, let's go with refillables. And they're used in a whole bunch of uses, everything from the lanterns to the camp stoves to scooters. People use them for welding, for barbecues, lanterns, marine engines even. So even marinas use a lot of these, and there's a lot of benefit to, I think people don't know how deep they are into the market. Cancer Propane, again, was the first large retailer who took this on, and we want to thank Josh again and Cancer Propane for being the original leader. They have 11 locations in California. They're a California-based propane company. But then that led to U-Haul coming on board. They are the largest propane dealer in the country. They started with the California 126 propane dealing U-Haul stations, and we'd really like to help them expand to all their locations, even if they don't have propane, which they plan on doing hopefully very soon. But also our research and tenacity has led to REI now selling refillables in all their stores in California. In fact, we just got a list today from REI on where they're selling these, and I can tell you exactly where they are in California. So Berkeley, Tustin, Sacramento, San Jose, San Diego, San Carlos, San Francisco, Mountain View, Santa Monica, and Woodland Hills are all have REI selling the refillables. And the U-Hauls all across the state are refilling them that have propane. But they're also selling, as you see in the slide, the refill kit. That's legal to sell, but we are not promoting at-home refilling, and we would encourage you to do the same because we are not sure how safe this is. It's only going to take one person to have a mistake and get a burn, and then we have a problem with public relations on this program. So for all of you out there, we just want you to know we're saying please refill with the professionals, not at home. But Home Depot is also selling the refillable cylinders and the kits. So again, if you have them selling the kits, you may want to just say that you do not promote at-home refilling for safety reasons. It's very new to the market. We're not sure how safe this is, but it does seem to be legal. We've checked into it quite a bit. And then West Marine is planning on selling these refillables at 229 locations they have across the U.S. We're hearing that Camping World is interested in this. And thanks to Julie at City of San Francisco, our board member, she helped us write a grant for Patagonia to get us some money to help San Francisco and Marin roll out more thoroughly and deeply into their propane dealers in those two counties. And we even won a CAPI award, which is a public service announcement award for the Refuel Your Fun campaign. And this is Janet and Bill with Me Communications who have helped us with this campaign, holding up all the awards they got that year. Ours was just one of them. And this is a picture of Secretary of Conservation John Laird, who used to be on the Waste Board, and he did a commercial for us with the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts out there at the coast in Santa Cruz where he lives. And that is a commercial that we designed to be convertible, so it's a very it's in English and Spanish, and at the very end, you can add a slide that shows where the locations are for your jurisdiction. So that is completely done for you. All the expenses been made. We can hand that to you, and you can run it in your local jurisdiction to promote the Refuel Your Fun campaign there. We also just won an Industrial Environmental Association Environmental Excellence Award for this campaign. And again, on the left is Stan Newman with Flame King, Jordan and I, and then Kevin Schofield with U-Haul for the partnership between government, NGOs, private sector, all working together to make this happen. And there's a great video they did of Sam and I talking for a couple minutes about the partnership. And it's the award video is linked at the top. You're welcome to play it. It doesn't work well when we do it on a webinar. So if you'd like to watch it, go ahead. But that's the kind of thing we'd like to do a lot more of, is partner with businesses that are leaders and give them all the support we can. So what you can do to help with this campaign is to follow us on the Facebook page for Refuel Your Fun and share the posts. If you also have a Refuel Your Fun location in your jurisdiction, take a picture. And we found that pictures with people in them work the best. And then we can even do social media posts and promote them and tag the store, tag folks around that store that might want to use the refillables, and really help get some promotion around it. You can help recruit more propane distributors that will sell, refill, and exchange, and that includes the parks. We found KOAs really like this because they have a lot of disposable gas cylinders at their locations, and that costs them a lot of money. They also sell the disposables, so if they sell the refillables and refill them on site, they don't have the disposal problem. You can host a press event at a local participating retailer. That could be a very big thing for the next Earth Day in April, before the camping season. You can host a gas cylinder take-back or exchange. We did that with Camps Propane in Yosemite, and they had 4 people deep. And the booth next to them was REI. We think that was part of their recent, they saw the public demand for the refillables. You can utilize customizable campaign materials we've developed, and everything is free. All these were done with state grant money, so you can use all of them and for free. And we're happy to share with you all the campaign materials.
Excuse me, Heidi.
So,
I think we may have lost your screen. Can you check and make sure it's not on pause?
Not on pause.
You should have a pause play button at the top.
Pause play?
Says that we're on air.
Says that we're on air.
Okay. I'm seeing on my side now, but we'll see if we
can. Oh, really?
Right. It was acting as if it might have been on pause versus show screen.
You see it now?
No.
Uh-oh.
Because our panel is...
Our panel is up. Do you want to put it up on your side, Bob?
Doug, are you seeing it?
No, I'm not. I haven't. Actually, it stalled out on the first on the first screen for me. I haven't seen it for quite a while.
Okay, let me pull mine up, and Heidi, you can tell me what slide number I should get to. And also,
okay.
Sorry, everybody. We'll take care of this technical difficulty. Bear with us.
What is the slide that we're on now? I can't see. It's at the top. It says "Help Expand Refilling."
Okay, and Heidi, it looks like you're not even connected by internet now. That's what's happening.
Yeah, they're not.
You've dropped off the webinar. So this is why we use phone as a backup. So if you could just reconnect to the webinar, and we should be good to go.
That's odd.
Oh, well, I don't know how to do that. But why don't you just pull up the slide?
We'll do.
And then I will, and I'll tell you the next slide, kind of thing.
Okay. And what number slide should I be on?
If you go to the, oh gee, I don't know. It's at the very end.
Number 42.
42.
Great. Thank you. So bear with us for just a moment, folks.
Okay, so basically what we're just saying about expanding refilling is this is a great opportunity to really promote voluntary stewardship. So the next slide is 43, Bob, and that says campaign expands into Texas.
Yep, we're there.
And that is very exciting because now under the National Stewardship Action Council, the Texas Product Stewardship Council just contracted with us, and we are going to help them expand into Texas. And because REI just sent our list about an hour ago, they have already got locations, 3 of them in Texas. The work we're doing in California is now penetrating the rest of the United States. So it's very exciting to see, and we want to thank all the local governments who have funded us through grants to get, and CalRecycle, to get to this point. Let's see, the next slide, 44. This is battery and cell phone stewardship. So we got 200 boxes donated from Call to Recycle for us to give out to our partners, and we gave them to those counties who were funding us already first, and a few others who weren't or couldn't. But we have 182 of them out. They are all battery collection boxes, and they're hosted by retailers. We've now collected 19 tons using these boxes. So that's a real number, a real data point, and I want to thank Jordan and Chris because they've worked very hard on getting these boxes out and getting the data for this slide. But it really shows the partnership, and the manufacturers are paying that it can work if we're all working together. And then we have Don't Rush to Flush, which is voluntary transitional to EPR campaign. And if you want to join that, if you have medicine bins that you know of, please let us know. We can add them to the map on that page. A lot of people look for it because it's very easy to use, including media people who call me a lot. We've also been doing surveys, and I wanted to show just a couple slides. We've helped Santa Clara, San Mateo, East Contra Costa, Alameda, Madera, and Sonoma with these surveys to get information about unwanted medications. And it's very, very clear that when they are asked, does your pharmacist, physician, or vet talk to you about how to get rid of unwanted medications, the answer is almost unanimously no. And this is a problem, but you can see the last three, Alameda, Madera, and Sonoma, are the most recent surveys, and now we're seeing an increase of how many people are getting some counseling, about 10% increase. So it seems like maybe we're starting to get the word out to the medical community, and we need to continue that. This slide shows that the results that most people say yes to this question. If a local pharmacy provided a secure take-back bin for free, would you use it? Almost unanimously yes. So that gives you some data points on why these programs will work if we can just get the bins out and promote them. The other question I'll show you that we thought was interesting was if a retailer, hospital, health clinic, or medical care provider's office provided free, secure medicine bins for the public safety to use or safely dispose of their sharps, would you use it? And again, it's almost 100%. So people want to do the right thing. They just haven't been made aware of what to do. And again, you know, this is being done in Mexico, and we were quite surprised when we found out that there was a program in Mexico. It's spread out. They now have 4,400 bins in pharmacies all throughout Mexico, and it's all paid for by the manufacturers. And that's where people go to get their less expensive drugs. So Bob, now I'm on slide 50. And we also know that in Spain, Bill Pollack just got back from a personal trip to Spain and sent me this link. If you'd like to watch it, you can. It's on the YouTube page. But they have a great presentation in English about what their environmental commitment is to Spanish society to, you know, safely collect the medicines and properly dispose of them in medicine bins and pharmacies. And the other thing that we do, as you know, is we help support counties that want to adopt their own ordinances and their own policies with producer responsibility or along the lines going towards producer responsibility. And this last year, we helped support Marin with a 5-0 vote. We gave Alameda an award, and Supervisor Carson is on the right. He helped pass the first Sharps ordinance after Santa Cruz on EPR. Supervisor Miley's on the left. He's the one who passed the first ordinance for the medicines. And then, of course, Santa Cruz, and I think Tim's on a vacation, Tim Goncharoff, but he was the first one to put medicine and Sharps together in the United States and do one ordinance. And he had City of Santa Cruz and Capitola quickly follow the county in that effort. So now there's 3 that are models out there. And they're a little bit different than the others and a little bit more retailer responsibility. And then Santa Barbara County passed their ordinance. Almost had, actually I don't think it was a unanimous vote, it was actually a 4-1 vote. We should change that slide. I don't know how that ended up there. I think originally it was a 5-0 vote to proceed.
That was the first vote, yeah.
Yeah. But when they had finally adopted it, it was a 4-1 vote. And so the march just kept continuing this year. And then Cook County, we're working with them because, as I said, I was in Chicago. They had approached me when I was there. And that's part of the reason we started the National Stewardship Action Council. We could tell there was a lot of hunger for the information on how everything was being done in California, and supported their commissioners while they proceeded. But their ordinance is different. They're actually giving it the power to the sheriff to design and run the program, and the county will fund it for the first year, and then they're going to bring it back and set the fees and the charges for the pharmaceutical industry. But they're not going to wait for the industry to set it up or roll it out because they didn't want to wait for them. So Sonoma's next. They have told us they're probably going to release an ordinance for adoption next month, maybe January. And Contra Costa just had a hearing this week, and they're bringing it back either December 6th or 13th for a vote. And we've helped them a little bit. And of course, LA County is the big gorilla, and they've been delaying and delaying and delaying. I'm hearing now there's going to be a resolution introduced next week that would delay further. We don't know where this is going to go, but clearly the industry has decided that that's the line in the sand. They don't want it to go any further in these big counties. We've also got all the state legislation. We have a great lobbyist in Jason Schmelzer and Shawyer Antwi, and that is really, he was the ringleader that killed AB 45, which was the bill that would have prevented local governments from implementing these ordinances. So we owe him and all of you who worked so hard, and we did too, to try and kill that, and we're glad we were able to do it. But I do believe that they're highly likely to try to come back this year again with some preemption if the counties continue to pass ordinances. That's just kind of the MO of the situation. But we did have some great success too. We passed supported the photovoltaic module recycling bill with Senator Monning. We sponsored, as I said, SB 1229 for the pharmacist take-back liability. That passed. We worked on the lead-acid battery stewardship bill and testified in support of that. That passed. It's not perfect, but it does at least provide some producer responsibility. Next slide, 60. The state auditor's study. So after 3 years, which isn't that long really, took New York 12 years to get a bottle bill, we have been able, as a small group of people, been able to actually get so effective that we have 3 legislators asking for a state auditor report to get the facts on the table so we can actually have a national or a statewide negotiation this year on how to get pharmaceuticals and sharps dealt with in most of the states. Assemblymember Phil Ting from San Francisco, Senator Jackson from Santa Barbara, and Assemblymember Adam Gray, all Democrats. Adam Gray's from Stanislaus. And we're with Eli Lilly and other pharma companies. They're all coming together trying to come up with something that we can agree on that would end up in legislation and pass, that would not drop the bar too low. But as you know, there really is no bigger lobby than pharma. They invested $109 million this last election to kill Prop 61. They were successful. That emboldened them, and it scared legislators because it means basically they will throw out pretty much any amount of money that they have to confuse the public and get them to vote against their own interests. So we'll see how this goes, but we're excited that we've got willing parties to come to the table. I didn't think we could even do that in 3 years, so we've made huge progress thanks to all of you and your local efforts. We were also successful in getting Walgreens to roll out bins at their pharmacies that have 24-hour stores. And the truth is, they told us, they called me first and said, Heidi, you always told us whoever was going to lead that you would help. We're doing it. Please help us. So we've been doing social media posts and trying to help them get credit. And we want to thank Walgreens and suggest that all of you give Walgreens some resolution, some public recognition, and encourage them to expand it to all their stores. But we definitely want to give them some credit for leading the retailer pack. Oh, and I want to give you, I'm sorry, one piece of good news under Walgreens, slide 61. We found out yesterday that Kaiser Permanente is going to start rolling out medicine collection bins next month in San Francisco. And they are also going to roll out medicine bins in the first quarter of 2017, at other Bay Area locations. So we hope that that will quickly expand throughout the state. And once they start, hopefully all of you, if you're in a location that's not covered yet, you write letters encouraging Kaiser to hurry up and get you guys a bin, because that's the first major hospital chain. Because then we want to go after Providence Hospital and Sutter and Mercy and all the other chains. But this is really showing progress that we're starting to see us getting on the other side of the hill in regards to safe medicine disposal. So next slide, 62. We have the National Stewardship Action Council now. That is a 501c4 organization, meaning we can do unlimited lobbying. We can do it all over the country, and it's a broader mandate to advocate for a circular economy. And our vision is to be a catalyst to effect accountable nationwide producer responsibility. If you haven't seen the site or following us on Facebook and social media, please do. As you know, what we're doing is affecting the whole country, and they want to know what we're up to. So now we have a vehicle to help them. And we make presentations with NSAC. I was just up at the NAMA conference in Portland. They paid for the whole thing, and it was great. We did 3 presentations on the gas cylinders, on medicine take back, and EPR that works, the general policy discussion. We want to thank NAMA for paying for that. So looking ahead, where are we at with national themes and trends? Slide 64. We think this is still going to go product by product. I don't see a framework in the future. We have to prove that these work first and then build off the successes. And I also think, and I didn't put it on here, but I do think we're going to see, I want to really focus on the voluntary stewardship that works and develop those partnerships more. We are probably going to see more local government ordinances, and I would encourage anyone who's interested to take on batteries, because the battery industry is really backed off, and we can't take them on while we're dealing with pharma, because then the pharma companies just oppose the battery bills, and we just don't have the bandwidth to do both. So that would help us get the battery discussion going again. Some industries and companies are going to lead, and they're going to splinter from those who won't, and that we need to grab them and help them as fast as we can and encourage them, because that's the way we can get something done when political situations won't let us go any further in legislation. Federal efforts, I suspect, especially the way the election went, to go after preempting local and state ordinances and laws, because they have, one party has total control of all 3 branches, or all 3, the 2 houses and the presidency. That's very likely to happen. We have to be alert for that. And then efforts to co-opt the advocates by funding them. I don't know if you noticed, but on the Proposition 61, you saw a lot of veterans groups coming out against the very proposition that would drive costs down. And that was because we found out that pharma had funded a lot of the veterans groups, and they already get low drug prices, and we're going to continue to get low drug prices. The proposition would have allowed other state agencies negotiating with pharma companies to get the same low prices as the vets. So that's how what they call social engineering, and that's very effective when you have that kind of money. And then efforts to externalize costs by arguing convenience. They're going to say it's much more convenient, to throw it in the trash, pharmaceuticals. That way they don't have to pay for it. So those are kinds of the things that will come up. So next slide, 65. So our priorities are that we're going to really promote the statewide expansion of Refuel Your Fund and try to get it as broadly used a program as possible to sell, refill, and exchange those refillables. And even we are working with Tehama County on a grant to put out collection bins at the parks so that we actually collect them separately and manage them properly, because they're getting thrown in the trash because it's not convenient to handle them. We also expect more county ordinances, and we're happy to help with that, and we hope batteries are next on everyone's agenda. Statewide solution for meds and sharps would be great if we can have a negotiation where we can get something that's effective and does not preempt the existing ordinances. And then participating in the packaging discussions. That's going to happen because of the bottle bill situation with the deadline of April. That was given by the governor. and the increase in the need to get diversion to meet 75% through source reduction, recycling, and refilling. We can't get to 75% right now, and without packaging, it's definitely not going to happen. I also suspect that will help drive the carpet discussion, because carpet's not doing well in recycling right now. That's another big tonnage item. Another problem is butane canisters from the marijuana grows, the illegal marijuana grows. There may be legislation on that are related to producer responsibility. Mercury thermostats, that's still got enforcement going on, and we're working on several projects regarding that program and DTSC's enforcement. And we continue to follow the paint and mattresses and all the bills that have already passed to ensure that they work as well as possible. But we definitely also want to hear your thoughts. So this is where we wanted to really open it up and just remind everybody that transitioning to producer responsibility is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're in this for the long haul, and we're making huge progress in a very short period of time. And we're learning as we go. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over and open it up to questions. Bob, do we have any questions? Because at this point we can't see.
Right, I'm pulling those open right now. Oh, it was just comments about the slides.
Okay.
When they weren't advancing. So no specific questions at this time.
Okay. Well, we can give everybody a minute or two. Doug, is there anything else you wanted to share with everyone?
Doug, are you with us?
He was probably on mute.
Sorry, I tried to unmute myself and mute myself again. I don't have anything to add, but I do want to thank everybody for their time today listening to the webinar and to the Heidi's update, and also Jordan and Chris. Thank you for your efforts. What I acknowledge, CPSC staff as a whole is doing a wonderful job. You've got 3 people doing a mountain of work there.
And we did have one question come in. If you,
okay.
I wasn't sure if you were finished, though, Doug. I'm sorry if I interrupted.
Yeah, no, I am. Sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
And I certainly concur with the amazing work Heidi and the team are doing over there. So the question that came in is, did Kaiser publish a press release on the disposal bins in San Francisco? And this question's from Paul Samfner.
No, Paul, they have not yet. We have just received a PowerPoint that they gave. I received it yesterday, and it says that they are going to, in 12 of 2016, the initial locations will be at the Main Hospital Pharmacy in San Francisco, the French Pharmacy in San Francisco, Mission Bay Pharmacy in San Francisco, and then they've got another 8 locations around the Bay Area in quarter 17. So I suspect when they actually get the bins in San Francisco is when they'll do a press release. And when I get stuff that I feel confident I can share, I will through the listserv. Or if you want to ask me, just email me. I can send you the slide deck, but I didn't want it to get too far because I'm not sure even if I was supposed to have seen it. There's a lot of cloak and dagger in Sacramento.
So Paul responded with a thank you, Heidi. And I'm not seeing any other questions at this time.
Okay. Well, thanks for another great year. We wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving and a restful Thanksgiving and holiday season. If you would like to join us at our annual holiday party, we'd love to have you. It's December 8th from 5 to 7:30, and we've got Sierra Nevada beer donated and wonderful food and fun. Hundreds of people come, so please take note. If you're in the Sacramento area, we'd love to see you on December 8th. And then we'll get back at it in January.
And Heidi, we did just have 2 more come in, if you'd like to field them. One is just a comment from Steve Rodwick, who said, you can add Adventist Health to the Med Takeback partners. They're small, but have started a takeback in Paradise. And then from Joe Zientak, can Heidi elaborate more on battery ordinances?
Yes, and thank you, Steve, for that. Jordan's going to follow up to make sure we understand where there's new bins for the medicine. And Joe, what problem we had is when we were originally running the battery bill, the first year it ran, the battery industry was surprised, and we were literally about a minute away from having the bill go up for a vote and getting it. And at midnight, we just didn't get the bill voted on in time, and so we didn't get it. The next year, the industry is much more organized, and they opposed it, and we didn't get as far. The year after that, they were saying they were going to roll it out in California first and then across the country, and they'd formed a group, and they were doing pilot projects, and they were funding it in Santa Clara. And so we didn't get very far because they were still fighting, and then pharma jumped in because they were mad about the pharma bill. And then we just got to the point where we gave up on this legislation and focused on pharma and sharps until we can get that done, because they're going to stop everything else we try to do until we finish that. But so what we think is important is that local governments drive batteries from the bottom up. I do not see how we're going to get, even with the industry support we had the last time we ran the bill, the 4th year, we still could not get it out because of the pharma lobby and Comcast and Verizon, because the TV remotes have 40% of the AA batteries or AAA batteries come from those TV remotes, and Comcast and Verizon were the ones that killed the bill, in addition to pharma. So we feel that at this point it's time to take the ordinances and retool them for batteries, except for one thing. We have learned from what's happened with pharma that it's probably better to be a little bit more prescriptive with the industries who are fighting in particular, and not let them have 18 months to design a stewardship plan, etc. That maybe what we should be doing is saying the county's going to set up a program, and we're going to send you the bill until you have an approved stewardship plan and start rolling it out. And you have to take over everything we start, because then there is no reason or incentive for them to delay getting the program done and operating. So that is something we've been coached on from the Canadians, and also is being discussed amongst the counties who have already passed the pharmaceutical ordinances. Because we're finding in the United States the corporations are just behaving much more poorly than they are in the other countries, and we don't want to give them time to stall. If elected officials go to the trouble of passing an ordinance, we want them to see benefits before their next election, because that helps them stay in office and do more good work. And they can't do that if we're giving them 18 months and then another 6 months for implementation, and on and on and on. And quite frankly, they don't need it because they know how to do this. So that was, we may be working on a model if we can get, we're trying to get fully staffed up to do these kinds of things, or maybe hire a consultant to do it. But I would like to get a model ordinance more along those lines. So it's really forcing them to the table faster to get the projects done.
And
Does that help?
We just had one more comment come in. Heidi and staff, thank you for the amazing work you guys are doing. And excuse me if I mispronounced the last name, but I think it's Mike Mohajer.
Mohajer. Yeah,
Mohajer.
Thanks, Mike. You've been a great supporter. He was our Associate of the Year a few years ago. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great year in 2017.
Yeah. Thank you, Heidi. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob. We really appreciate your help, Bob. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And thanks to Doug.
Yep. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bob.